Hello, I'm Leslie, normally the presenter of the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast, and this is the second of the two bonus episodes for September, detailing my adventures as I take a month off work. So this is not quite about yarn. Thank you to everyone who watched the first bonus episode and to the lovely comments I've had. They mean such a lot. I talked a little bit in the first one about the reason for taking the month off and the fact that I've suffered from depression for a long time, and this is a way of dealing with some problems that I've been feeling recently. And I'm just so appreciative of the support that folks have offered and the comments that people have made, sharing their own experiences as well. So thank you so much. None of us are alone, but it can sometimes feel as though we are. So thank you so much for sharing your stories and talking about your situations as well. Really do appreciate it. Sorry, it's a strange noise outside. Sounds like an old-fashioned train whistle or something. I have no idea what's going on there. Yes, so thanks to everyone who commented. Thank you for your support. As I said at the beginning of the first one, there won't be much yarny stuff here, so if you're not interested in this, absolutely fine. At the end of September I will be putting up the usual Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast, and that will have the things that I've been working on, knitting and crochet, and hopefully a bit of weaving throughout the month. But this is the other stuff. This is the places I'm going, things I'm doing, people I'm spending time with. So I hope you enjoy. Odds and ends mostly. The first bit I'm going to show you is just me taking the dog for a walk at some local private gardens. And just after I recorded this, we had an email through from the people who manage the gardens, and unfortunately there has been a bit of vandalism and some antisocial behaviour there. So it's just a reminder not to give out the code. All of the entrances to these gardens have a door code. So it's a reminder not to give out the code so that they can keep an eye on who's got access to the gardens and hopefully keep standards up, and keep things nice. The message said something along the lines of, anyone found giving out the code will have their membership revoked and their families. Now I'm hoping that just means their family's membership as well, but it does sound like Granny's going to get it if you give the code out, so I'm not saying what it is. Hope you enjoy this podcast. Usual bits of silliness along the way. Thanks very much. This is a local private garden that we pay to be a member of. And one of the reasons why we like it is that it's fairly secure. So we can let Madam wander off. She does sometimes play with other dogs. She's quite timid, but she does sometimes play. Heidi, come on then. This way. And she can have a bit of a run. And mostly chase squirrels in here, actually. That seems to be her predominant pastime. And you're now going to get one of my theories on life. Life is like dog walking. You get to see beautiful sunrises. You get to see beautiful sunsets. You get to see the abundance of nature. But you spend an awful lot of your time carrying this. Time to go hunting squirrels. playtime again. I've got out my polymer clay stuff and I'm about to start, well, playing. What I'm now going to try and do is make what they call a retro cane, which will require an awful lot of physical strength, which I'm not sure that I have. But you take discs of different colour and you put them through an extruder, and then you have to push really hard to try and get it to come through, and hopefully inside all of here there are all sorts of different colours. So although it looks predominantly red coming out of there at the moment, and to be honest looks a bit disgusting, I am hopeful that it will be better than that when it is done. But this stuff is quite stiff to work with at times. You can soften it with oil, but I've tried that and getting the balance right is hard. It's better to try and warm it up with your hands and just kind of get it going of its own volition. And hopefully you can see different colours in there. And this is quite a dark version of it, but when you push these all together you then get quite a bit of variation, even with, in this case, only 3 colours. Obviously the more you do, the more colour variation you'd get. Oh, I'm weak as a kitten. You then try and get these all together as neatly as possible. Trim off what you don't need. Using the right side of the blade, it's much safer that way. And hopefully see, we've got a few different colours there. So what I think I'm going to try and do is bake these and turn them into stitch markers. So that's the plan for these. The next technique I'm going to try is called, I'm going to pronounce this wrong I fear, but knittingordeath, and it's a layered technique which then involves a bit of violence. So first of all I've got these different pieces which I'm going to put through the pasta machine to make layers. So it looks as if my hands are clasped in prayer or in earnest entreaty, but actually I'm just trying to warm up some clay. Right, now normally I would advocate working much more cleanly than this, but it's knittingordeath, so you're looking to mix the colours up anyway. So what I've done is I've got all the colours into fine layers. Hopefully you can see them there. So now I'm looking to layer the layers, and all this before the acts of violence can begin. The pink that I've got here looks a bit out of place with the black and the red, but according to the label it's a translucent red, so I'm hopeful that when it's baked it won't look so pink but more of a clear red. That's the plan. So I've now got lots of layers of colours, which I hope you can see there. Just gonna squash them down a little. And now the point of this is to push through all the layers. And some people do this in quite a uniform fashion. Some people do it in a more random way. I'm going to do, well, guess. Is it going to be neat and uniform, or is it going to be a bit mental? Hard to guess, I know, but let's see what I come up with, shall we? So all sorts of weird and wonderful patterns, using every single tool to try and get different effects through the layers. Oh, it does me good. What else have we got in here? Oh, a knobbly thing. That one looks like a tooth on a stick. And what I'm hoping to do here is to make a veneer to go over a plain black piece of polymer clay, so that I can get the maximum use out of the work that I've done here today. So now wish me luck, because this becomes the tricky bit, because as you slice off layers you end up hopefully with a pattern underneath. There we go. That is weird, wonderful, a little bit psychedelic. Takes me right back to my prog rock days. It's fantastic stuff. So there we go, and that's how we've made that difference in pattern, just by those acts of violence. Now you do have to be careful with these blades. Don't use them as I do. I'm a bit of a lunatic. But I am relatively happy with that. I think I'll use that side of that piece. There's a little bit more detailing in. So now to make the plain piece to layer it onto. Well, I do apologise for the state of my nails and my hand. That's what working with black polymer clay can do. So I've made the pieces of Makume Gane. Now what I've done with a couple of them is laid them on the black and then put them through the pasta maker, which has stretched out the pattern. But on this one I've left it as is. And what I'm hoping to make with this is a holder for glasses. So you'd hang it around your neck, stick your glasses in, job's a good one. The best way to get a rounded shape with this stuff is to use cling film. And is that going to be big enough? Yeah, let's make a round one and a square one actually. Let's see how big the square thing is. Let's try that first. So I've just got my square mould, and it's like baking. It's like making pastries and cookies and all those sorts of things. So I've got that one, and then the hole for in the middle will go there. And that little hole piece strikes me as a stitch marker in the making, if you ask me. So we'll do a circular one as well. And rather than make a circular hole in the middle, I think I'm going to do an oval one. It's like I say, just like making cookies or biscuits, but leaves your hands in a worse state. Put that away. We'll take out the excess will hopefully all be reused later. Take the cling film off. This can sometimes be the tricky bit. There's my craft knife. And then with the blade, lifting them off the surface. Without changing the shape too much, hopefully. They will then go to be baked. Just get the cling film off these bits. And again, they'll just go to be baked. Of course, once you've got this, you can do all sorts of things with it. So you can do pieces of jewellery, all sorts of wherever your imagination takes you, really. Sadly, I haven't got one, so this is probably it. But I'm going to keep plodding away because it's playtime and it's fun. Well, that was much harder than it should have been because of the condition of the clay. But these are the pieces I have ready to bake. The stitch markers that I showed you first off, glasses holders, a scarf buckle, and other bits and pieces that I might make into pendants. And this one here, which I'm hoping will be a pendant. It's a very thin piece of clay, so I don't know how well that's going to hold up, but that's what we experiment and learn. Lesson learnt today actually was use this stuff, Leslie. You've got it. Just use it. Don't save it for some mythical day. And it doesn't matter if it's the good yarn or the polymer clay. I mean, this was much harder than it needed to be because everything had dried out so much. And that was silly. So there will be more polymer clay playtime in my life in the near future as I use what I've got, make things, enjoy the process, stop making a chore of it, just have a quick hour here and there of doing bits and pieces, and see where my creativity takes me. Obviously we need to see how these bake and how robust they are once baked, but I'm quite happy with the effect, the Makume Garnet, which I hope you can see there quite clearly. It's quite funky. So today is the 20th, it's Thursday. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that with my glasses. And it's getting late in the evening. But tomorrow we're off and about fairly early to go to Cornwall to visit family. Looking forward to that. Last few days, lots of pottering really. Finished a couple of things I was making. I put all the details on the knitting and crochet podcast at the end of the month, but I finished a cowl, finished a scarf, finished Stanley's hoodie, and just general kind of chores and running around, mowed the lawn earlier, that type of thing. Got my knitting together for the train journeys tomorrow. I've got 2 items I'm taking, 2 scarves, a crocheted one and a knitted one, just to give me a bit of variety. I don't anticipate getting them both finished over the weekend, despite long train journeys, but I just wanted to have a bit of variety so that if I got stuck with, got a bit bored with crochet or a bit of cramp in my hand or something like that, then I could swap to knitting. So I just need to download an audiobook and pull out all the paperwork for hotel where we're staying and car hire and stuff like that, and then probably go to bed because it's going to be a relatively early start tomorrow. And yeah, we're kind of 3 weeks into my month off. Feels a bit surreal, really. I think it's doing me good. I was at a meeting tonight to do with the bazaar, the craft fair that I'm doing later in the month, next month rather. And feels as if I was a bit kind of back to myself with the daft comments and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it is doing good. I am going to get to the end of the month thinking, oh, I wish I'd done X, Y, Z, because I was going to do cooking, I was going to do gardening, I was going to do all these things, and I've done very few of them. But actually I also needed to relax, take some pressure off, and just see what the day's brought, which is what I've done. So yeah, I think I'm okay. Off to a pretty part of the world tomorrow. Good night. Good morning. Oh, it's early. Good morning. I'm not travelling alone today, I'm travelling with my husband, which means I'm going to get a lot of strange expressions. Mostly from him, but no doubt from anyone else. So another train, another journey, this time heading west, not north. But there's something very important to do first. Priorities, this is what matters. 2 weeks ago I was at a station famous for a much loved character in a children's book, number 14, and today we're at another one. Saturday the 22nd of September, and we arrived in Cornwall yesterday afternoon. Had a really lovely journey down. The train was quite busy and we thought it would just be the two of us spread over a table for four with our snacks and our music and audiobooks, and in my case knitting, in his case reading. But it was quite a busy train, so we ended up sharing the table with a couple of ladies who had just got off a flight from Texas. They live in East Texas. They're originally from the UK, from this part of the UK, from sort of Devon-Cornwall border, and they were here visiting relatives. So we had a lovely chat with them for the journey from Paddington to, they got off at Liskeard, and really very pleasant, absolutely lovely, quite a laugh along the way, really nice. So I have got some footage of the journey, which you've hopefully just seen. Don't know that I'll be able to do an awful lot of footage of the beautiful Cornish countryside, because I don't think the weather is going to be our friend today or tomorrow, sadly. The forecast for the weekend is quite wet, and as we're running around with small children, I don't know how wet their mum and dad will want them to get. So yeah, so that's where we're at, but really lovely journey. Nice day yesterday, so lots of lovely countryside. Also managed to get quite a bit of knitting done. So this is a scarf I'm working on, and I'm pleased with how this is coming out actually. I'll talk more about it on the Yarn and Crochet podcast, but once it's finished I may offer this pattern up, because it's simple but I think it's quite effective. So and it'll be a good scrap user. So I might write up the pattern and put it up on my patterns page. Today, oh, that voice went really high, sorry. Oh dear. La, 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 la. No. Today we are seeing the family. I mean, basically we're here to see the family rather than do the tourist stuff. Given that the weather's not so good, I think we're just going to be kind of playing games with the children, going out for a bit of lunch. I think Fern, my great niece, is going to help me cook some tea tonight, so we'll have a lasagna cooked by two people with a combined age of 57. Yeah, just kind of family time, which is nice, because we only see them once a year. It's a bit exhausting for Rich and me, because we're not used to small people and that sort of relentless energy. So by the time we go home on Monday, we'll probably be pretty shattered. But it's lovely to spend time with them. We tend to only see them kind of once a year, possibly twice. So yeah, it's nice to spend that time and watch them as they grow, even if it's only in irregular intervals. So if I'm able to get any footage of the weather, of the countryside, I will do. But as I say, the weather is not looking promising, so I think mostly we're going to be sitting around drinking tea, playing games with the children. In my case, losing games with the children, because sometimes I try to lose. More often than not, I don't have to. It's a bit sad, really. It's Sunday the whatever it is. Sunday morning. Don't know the rest of that song. Probably A Kindness. Yesterday, you've just seen footage of it. The weather was grim. Very foggy. Very rainy. My nephew kindly took us all out. I was in the back of the car with great nephew Stanley. I slept more than great nephew Stanley, and he doesn't snore as loudly as I do. I'm worried I kept him awake. Just really tired yesterday. I don't know why. We got to my nephew's house and we're just sitting on the sofa, kids were playing, and I fell asleep. We went out in the car. I fell asleep. We stopped, got back in the car, I fell asleep. Yeah, just really, really tired. Nothing you can do about it, but I've had 9 hours sleep last night, so hopefully I'll be a bit more awake and alert today. Yeah, so the weather was pretty grim, so although we went out, we were hoping to take their dog for a walk, but sadly that didn't happen. It was just such grim weather, so it wasn't pleasure walking. So when we got home, my nephew took the dog out then and let her have a good run. So hoping for better weather. The forecast is a bit grim this morning, but hopefully brightening up this afternoon. I think it's going to be Murphy's Law that it was nice weather on the way down, it would be nice weather on the way back, but whilst we're here, just a bit grim. But that's the way it goes. Can't do anything about it. Yeah, so another day with the family. They're coming over to join us at the hotel for breakfast. My nephew is, he does shooting. So he's a shooter, but that sounds wrong. He does shooting, he does clay pigeon shooting and that sort of thing. He's off and out doing that this afternoon. So niece-in-law and the children, Hopper and me, will be finding something to entertain ourselves. I'm sure we won't struggle, we normally manage. And then tomorrow we'll go home. So that's that big weekend over. But we've got today first. So hoping for better weather this afternoon and yeah, fun with the kids. Well, it's Monday morning and I made the right weather prediction for our journey home. We're about to hit some sun. Hey ho, we've had a nice time and we've seen the family, which is what it was all about. Tuesday 25th of September. Must remember to close the thread on the giveaway today because it's the last day of that. And a bit of a chill out day. Doing loads of laundry from our trip. Hopefully I'll have put up, let me do that again in English. Hopefully you'll have just seen some footage of our trip home. Richard kindly took some footage because I was asleep again. That seems to have been the theme of this weekend. My relatives aren't boring, please let me assure you of that. I just was incredibly sleepy. I don't know why. But some things you can't fight. And when I'm on a train, I can't fight sleep. That's the truth. So yeah, footage of the journey home, much nicer weather, and it's a nice day today actually. So pottering around at home, go and pick up the dog later, getting ready for my sister to arrive. She'll be coming this evening, she'll be here for a few days. And yeah, we're 3 weeks into the 4-week break. When people say to me, how was your month off? I'm going to say not long enough. Yeah, just chilling today. Got quite a bit of knitting done yesterday, so happy with that. But just pottering around at home really. Like I say, laundry, getting the room ready for my sister, and wherever else the mood takes me. Might really treat myself and go and buy some groceries. Rock and roll. I used to. Well, we're in Brighton. I've never had a cake served in a metal camping tin before now, but that's obviously what they do here. Smile, Beverly. Yes, I am related to that, so there we go. Delayed journey thanks to train problems, so first stop, tea and something sweet. Okay, maybe we should have waited until our drinks arrived, but we're Arnold girls, we don't work that way. Alright, so we're in Brighton. Here's the outside of the pavilion, and we'll soon be on the inside. I'm going to try and lose my sister there, but sadly I think she's going to follow me. See, it explains a lot about me once you meet my family, doesn't it? I'm not saying this place is grand, but this is just the gate into it. Yeah, exactly. Genuine Regency scaffolding there. The tour complete, we are back out into bright, bright sunshine. Right, it's now 11 o'clock on Friday morning. That's Friday the 29th. At least I hope it's Friday. I'm wearing my Friday socks. Ta-da! That could look weird if that didn't work. Just give you a quick recap. So after going to Brighton on Wednesday, in the evening, it was Wednesday, wasn't it? Yes. We went and stood on Hastings pier for a while and watched a light show. There's a walkway underneath the promenade, which has been pretty much a no-go area for a long time. It became a place where people with nowhere else to go would hang out and basically use it as a toilet, and it wasn't nice at all. But it has been done up in recent years, and they now have a light show in the summer. Friday nights it goes on for half an hour, and I think tonight there's some live music there as well. But most nights they have a 10-minute show at sort of dusk, at the moment about sort of 8 o'clock in the evening. So that's all good. So we went and saw that. I'll put some footage in here. I'll speed up the footage because it's 10 minutes, so I'll speed it up. So imagine this taking longer, but we were quite impressed with it. So that was Wednesday. Then yesterday, Thursday, actually I went to a funeral in the morning, a friend's father, sadly. So my sister stayed here. And then we had a trip out in the afternoon. We went to some villages in the middle of the Downs, really, middle of the South Downs. So the first one is, I'm going to call it Alfriston. I've also known people call it Alfriston, and some call it Alfriston. But whatever you want to call it, this is what it looks like. Here's some footage, very pretty, very picturesque. Yeah, just a real old sort of place you can't quite believe exists anymore. So here's some footage of that. We then went on to a village called East Dean, which again is sort of in the Downs. After that, we came home, and then being Thursday night, himself normally goes to a pub quiz, and his teammates were unavailable this week, so we decided to rock up and save the day. Bit of a dangerous thing because he has been on his own before. It's not something where you have a fixed size of team. It's very casual. And he has rocked up before on his own and come second in the quiz. So the fear was that we would come and help and he would do much worse. Well, we came joint third, but he acknowledged that there were questions that we got that he certainly wouldn't have done. So that was last night. This morning, sister and I have done a bit of shopping and she's now just gone home. So I've got housework to do, pottering to do. This feels like my last day off because it's the last working day, as it were. Weekend to come. I'm going to see some friends tomorrow, but I'm going to finish this video today and upload it. The video that I did for the first half of the month took over 24 hours to upload to YouTube. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm going to get this one running so that it's there, so that when I do the yarn video for the Not Quite Enough Yarn, as opposed to Not Quite About Yarn, then I can get that up at the weekend as well. So thank you again for watching. Thank you to everyone who's commented, who's liked. Thanks to everyone who's been so supportive when discussing mental health and mental ill health, more importantly. Back to work next week. I know I've got 3 ceremonies next week and 1 on the Monday after, so hitting the ground running, as the phrase has it. And just wish you all the very best of health, mental health, physical health. Wish you sunshine. Wish you all the good things. And thanks so much for watching. Take care. See you back in the yarny world. Cheers.